On October 1st, 2023, the Punjab caretaker government imposed a smog emergency at the direction of the Lahore High Court. The air quality index reached close to 400 in Lahore multiple times, an alarming number considered hazardous to health. The AQI scale, designed by the United States Environmental Protection Agency in 1970, is divided into different color-coded categories, each corresponding to a different level of health concern.
Well, one of the impacts of climate change we're going to see, if we're not seeing it already, is increased lengths of summertime. We're going to have about 8 months of hot weather and then about 3 months of unlivable air pollution and cooler weather. Every winter since, the city of Lahore has suffered year-long air pollution, made much more intense by the cold weather in the winters. It's not a surprise that Lahore ranks as one of the most air-polluted cities in the world, but it really isn't a Lahore problem. What happened in 2016 after the first smog event is some activists, specifically the Pakistan Air Quality Initiative run by Abid Umar in Karachi, reached out and we put up an air quality monitor here in the veranda which could be connected online. And our house became the second place in Lahore where a private monitor was reporting air quality in Lahore. Lahore was one of the most polluted cities in the world. But that's only because the monitors are here. You put the monitors in Gujranwala is pretty polluted as well. You put the monitors in Peshawar. And it's not a Lahore issue, as I said, because Lahore just happens to be where the monitors are. Wherever you put the monitors up in the entire region, whether it's South Punjab or even KPK, you'll find bad air pollution. This is very much a provincial, a national, a regional air pollution problem from Kabul to Calcutta. Mostly because this part of the world is also troughed between the Hindu Kush Karakoram mountains to the north and the Deccan Plateau to the south. And this little trough of land, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, gets absolutely filled up with smoke and dust during the winter, especially during the winters, because hot air doesn't rise. Mostly in the summer months, hot air rises and it takes up a considerable amount of the pollution with it. But as temperatures drop, this sort of pollution stays close to the ground and becomes far more visible and far more deadly.
Smog is an extremely dangerous form of air pollution. It occurs because of three factors: high levels of air pollution already present in the environment, temperature inversion, and seasonal crop burning. Imagine the air around us like a big bowl of soup. Normally, the hot soup at the bottom rises up, and the cooler parts stay at the top. But now imagine that during the night, the soup decides to stay where it is. The bottom soup begins to cool, and the top also cools, but the middle stays warm. This is called a temperature inversion.
It's inescapable. You go outside, you can taste it, you can feel it, it gets people sick. And then the news is always there as well. So unlike many other environmental issues, this really becomes a live wire of sorts, especially during the winter. Everyone's talking about it, everyone wants to do something about it, and yet, year after year, nothing substantial is done.
In 2019, the Global Alliance on Health and Pollution estimated that 128,000 Pakistanis die annually due to air pollution-related illnesses, one of the world's highest death tolls from air pollution. Experts describe this as choking to death.
You have to refer to these things called either source apportionment studies or air inventories, which carry out a test to see, what exactly is in the air and in what intensity. And from that, you can extrapolate what the major sources of air pollution are. Now, there are only a handful of these for Punjab. And while some of them are outdated, some of them could have been done better, they do indicate very clearly what the culprit is. So, for example, the 2018 Food and Agriculture Association and Agriculture Department smog report says that about 43% of the year-long air pollution in Punjab comes from the transport sector. That's the emissions from the trucks and the cars burning. Frankly, Pakistan has some of the worst quality fuels on the face of the earth, and as a result, we get all these emissions. There's also a more recent urban unit study, an air inventory for Punjab, which more or less paints the same picture for the Punjab. But interestingly, when they drilled down and did an inventory for Lahore, because of the larger population, because of because there's more automobile and transport use over here, the inventory for Lahore from the urban unit indicates that about 80% of Lahore's year-long air pollution comes from the transport sector.
Despite data that farmers contribute to only a portion of the problem, Seasonally, they are the only targets.
It's expensive and against the monopoly business powers of the distribution companies to transition to renewable energy. So what do? You go after the farmers, you go after the bhattawalas. But have you ever seen the factory owner of a cement-powered coal plant being arrested? Have you ever seen someone who drives an SUV, which consumes 3 to 4 times more fuel than a sedan, being hauled up? Do you ever see a businessman from the Textile Association burning plastic or coal or something being hauled up? You don't.
स्मॉग जो है उसका बुनियादी जो मसला है वो जो बाकियात हैं मुंजी के, उनको जलाने के बगैर हमारे पास कोई किसी किस्म का कोई तरीका नहीं कि हम गंदम जो है वो काश्त कर सके। तो गवर्नमेंट हर लिहाज से हमारे ऊपर प्रेशर डालती है। हमारे कल की बात जो है मेरे नोटिस में आया 43 FIR जो है वो हम किसानों पे दर्ज हो चुकी हैं और लाखों के हिसाब से गरीब किसान जो हैं उनको जुर्माने किए जा चुके हैं।
Malik is from Hafsabad, located in the rice wheat belt of the country, often referred to as the city of rice. Farmers in the belt consider burning as the most effective and least expensive method to prepare the fields. It is also the only way they know, a practice inherited generationally in farming communities.
But you can arrest as many farmers as you want. You can try and stop the crop burning. It doesn't answer the fact that this is a year-long problem and it will persist till January, February. The crop burning is going to finish in 10 days. But, दिखाना है कि जी 400 बंदों को अंदर कर दिया है. It's very unfair.
स्मॉग जो है वो नुकसानदेह तो है, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट से मुतालबा है कि ऐसे उजार दे किसानों को, ऐसा तरीका निकाल दे। हमें कोई शौक है जलाने का? कोई शौक नहीं है, ये मजबूरी है हमारी।
Muhammad Aslam isn't the only farmer with this view. In the same 2018 FAO study, up to 88% of the farmers said they would accept to respect a law banning burning of crop residues if alternative methods are made available.
None of what's written in the policy is being actually implemented. In 2017, on the directions of the Lahore High Court, the government of Punjab came up with a smog policy. The High Court then constituted a commission to look into the causes of air pollution, and the Smog Commission submitted its report to the Supreme Court in late 2018, early 2019. Then we've had this year the government of Punjab and the federal government both come up with a national clean air action plan and a provincial clean air policy. This is over and above the law that we have, where we have quality standards on emissions from industry, emissions from automobiles, and also standards for what the outside air should be like. So the policy and legal framework is very much present. We know what needs to be done. We know what is good and what is bad, and we know what needs to be done in terms of these policy documents and smog commission reports. And all of them say the same thing. Upgrade your refineries, have better fuel, move to renewable energy, invest in public transport, change the way your cities are designed so that public transport can be more effective. We even have an electric vehicle policy from 2020 which is supposed to replace combustion engines with electric vehicles and make Pakistan an industrial hub for the manufacturing of electric vehicles. All of these policy documents are in place, but the only thing you'll be seeing done is that farmers are being arrested. Don't seem to have a civil society vision that can push the political entity into action. Cities that have faced and done anything about air pollution in the past, and there have been plenty. London in the 50s, New York in California, Los Angeles in California, Paris, Amsterdam, Sweden, Chinese cities in the last decade as well, 5 of them have dramatically improved their air pollution, have all come from the same place. They've had a civil society that's had a shared and common vision of a clean air future, which is longer and more sustainable than the 5-year election cycle.